Good morning. It's 10:15 still a.m. on Friday, June 6th, and this is an open door. It's our Friday book group, which I forget what we're calling this, Cindy. You might remember. It's
Sharing the word,
hearing the word, sharing the word,
sharing the word.
sharing the word. So what we are doing here on Fridays is just sharing books that have been written by truth teachers. Our first book was Helen Hamilton's Reality Check, and we are now moving on to the book Resurrection by Paul Selig. Paul Selig worked as a writer and in theater. And he has garnered some I don't know. I would say skepticism by his critics because he worked in theater and was a creative writer. But he really has been doing this work since 2009. In 2009, he gave weekly channeled readings to a group of students and colleagues that he worked with in New York and maybe around the country, but I think mostly in New York. And he recorded them and he decided to transcribe one of his channelings after he was told by the guides that in order to really believe what he was doing, he would have to see his words in writing. So he took that and he transcribed what he had spoken that evening and went back and realized that it required no editing at all. And so that motivated him, and he began to work very quickly after that with a colleague, Victoria Nelson, who did much of the earlier transcribing for him. So Selig's message hasn't changed much. His first book was I Am the Word, and he talks about aligning to the Christ vibration, and he tells us that this is the work of humanity. And he's still saying this, as you will see. I'm going to turn it over to our co-host, Sandra here, and she's going to say a few words of introduction.
Well, good morning, everybody. It was kind of nice to tune in and find out we were listening to the channeling right before this. When Cindy first mentioned this to me and I decided to buy the books, I was reminded that when I first got the Course in Miracles, I didn't understand it at all. In fact, I thought it was gobbledygook, and I couldn't, as I read it, I could not make sense of the sentences, and I threw the book away. I wouldn't even donate it. I threw it away. But so I was approaching this and I started reading. I thought, oh no, these are a lot of sentences with a lot of words again. But this time I understood from experience that it didn't matter if I fully understood right away, that all I had to do was be open and teachable. And to me, that's what the open door is all about. I love the metaphor, Cindy, of the open door, because it's like I open this door and I listen, and then another door comes to open, and then another door. And as I open doors, I'm greeted with these beautiful teachings, and they're always different. And I have learned that the more I listen, the less I know. And I come to each new open door with this attitude. I think he said just this morning, he said something about our attitude. It's how we attend to what is before you. Those words came into my head this morning as I was listening. How to attend to what is before you. So what I do now, and I'd love to hear how all of you do it, but I try to drop everything, just leave everything before I go through that door. and approach it with as if it's all fresh and new. And knowing with an expectation that whatever wisdom I am to receive will come. And I don't have to figure it out ahead of time. Or I don't even have to figure out it while I'm reading it, that it will just come. And as this, yeah. So thank you for an open door. Thank you for all of you. When each of you speaks, something new comes in, and I can't even describe it. Oh, I just thought of a way to describe it. The other day, I had my favorite ice cream, peanut. I love Peanut Swirl by Turkey Hill. It's really good ice cream. And I was opening that up and I thought, what if I had never tasted this before? Would it taste differently? So I got a scoop out and I just took on the attitude of I had never tasted this before. And I'll tell you, that taste exploded in my mouth. It was creamier than I'd ever noticed. So that's what I'm trying to say about these teachings. One of the words, as I started reading these teachings, the word that kept popping out at me was everything is made new. Everything is made new. And if I take on that attitude that I'm going to get something new, I don't have to make it align with something else I know. I don't have to put it in an outline. I can just take it as fresh and new each time. So that's what I think Amy and I want to do with this. Is that true, Amy?
And anything you say is true for me, Sandra.
Oh,
I
you
love,
might regret that statement. You might regret that statement. Anyway.
the other day,
Yeah, so that's what I'm inviting myself to do, even though I've already read the book. As we read today, it's new for me. And I know that what I'm supposed to take in will happen. And I'm grateful for that. So go ahead.
I just wanted to share with you that we've been eating ice cream lately, and I've been realizing that my word for ice cream is happiness, because you can't eat ice cream and not be happy. There's just something about it that it's just a happy thing to do. So, Turkey Hill, whatever it is, let's do this together. And what Sandra and I are, we both are very willing to just let this evolve as it does. And so what we thought we might do is start out by reading together this morning. And we can start with we could start, right on the first page and then go into the introduction. And one of the things we thought about, and I'll just put this out there for you, we can read and see how this goes this morning. And then if we feel like we're going too slowly, or if we feel like we're going at the right pace, we can either continue to read, and we can maybe put this up on Kindle, and someone can do some reading, someone can volunteer to do some reading, or we can read from the book. And what Sandra and I thought about was that we would go right across the screen, and each person on the screen would read a page. So if you don't want to read, then you don't have to read. But if you do want to read, then you can. How does that sound? Is there anyone that doesn't want to read? Richard doesn't want to, and Rick doesn't want to. Okay.
And Barbie just said she doesn't want to. And
Richard?
our screens might look different, Amy.
Yeah, because Barbie's first on mine.
Yes, okay.
The other thing I just want to let you know is I don't have the book on Kindle yet.
Okay,
So if we're doing this and you want me to screen share this week, I won't be able to do that.
that's okay. That's okay. And Rick, we get it. Maybe there won't be noise some other time and you can read. And Livia says I do too. Livia, does that mean you, oh, you have too much noise? Okay. But that doesn't happen all the time. Um, does everybody feel comfortable with that? Is that good for us to start out reading today?
Yeah, and Amy, maybe a paragraph at a time works better than a page.
Yes,
Because
yes.
sometimes you're in the middle of a paragraph at the end of a page, so.
Okay. And as we did with Helen's book, if there's something and you want to say something, we'll stop and then we'll talk about it. I don't think this book is quite as dense as Reality Check, but who knows what we'll find. So I'll start, and I'm just going to start right on the first page, which is right here. It's not even paginated. It just says that the following are the unedited transcripts of channeling sessions conducted by Paul Selig on Maui between July 22nd, 2021 and September 11th, 2021, before students in online and in-person seminars and a small online group convened to receive this dictation. Selected questions from students have been included.
Maybe
So,
just to get things going, I'll read the first paragraph, Amy.
okay, are you going to start from day one, the introduction?
Yes, introduction, day one. And I'm not sure if everyone has the book, so I'll try to read slowly. So here are what the guides are saying to Paul and to everyone who receives this work. They're saying, we stand before you today in preparation for your work, for your capability and great capacity to be renowned, to be rendered anew. Each of you here has chosen, at one level or another, that the lives you have lived may be altered, reknown, sung in a higher tone, a higher key. Each of you who has said yes stands before us today in willingness and readiness, we would suggest. So we're all ready for what this offering is. Some of you say, yes, I may know myself anew. Some of you say, perhaps. But in fact, all of you are here in readiness at a point in history where what may be known, what may be rendered new, has capacity to be made new.
Cindy.
Starting to cry again. It just mostly I felt the desire to stop to see if everybody sunk into that. I was listening to them on a newer channeling this morning, and there's just this permission. Rico, I was talking to Rico last night. He was saying the same thing. He said, I used to really regret my past. Like, if only I hadn't done X, Y, Z, then I might have been with you guys sooner, type of thing. And I'm really getting that everything that happened in all the decades up until this moment is the only thing that could have happened to bring me to this moment. And somehow the guides keep celebrating that in my heart over and over and over again. So all of these, like the past regrets, they're not regrets. They're choices to have learned through to bring me anyway into this moment where I can say yes to whatever's next. So I just kind of wanted to give everybody the opportunity to marinate in just that for a moment. It's not a little thing that we're here, right?
Thank you. Who would like to read next? Just unmute and start.
Well, I can read.
And then Patricia. Patricia had unmuted, so Cindy and then Patricia.
Now, when we speak of being made new, we are speaking of re-articulation. Everything in form is in articulation. There is one note sung in this universe that you know that is in articulation as all manifestation. All things are of one source at various degrees of tone or vibration. The manifestation of humanity, the idea of who and what you are, and the name you have given yourselves is being made new, is in fact being altered and lifted, we would suggest, to a higher octave, a higher intonation. The vibration you hold is always in coherence with the reality you will find yourselves in. And the co-resident reality you have chosen, with its highs, lows, and in-betweens, is being altered by your presence. Humanity itself has chosen this. You cannot agree to what you are or who you have been, but the collective has agreed to make a new choice. We would suggest a high choice, to release an idea of self that has been known through fear, known through contention, known through aggression, to be reknown in what we will call the upper room, which is a higher octave of resonance, a collective field where indeed all things made new. Definition of the upper room for you, Rick. That's the paragraph.
Any
To be
thoughts about
re-artic-
that? Any thoughts about that paragraph?
Well, for me, the guides also keep reminding me that how I serve is by being in the higher vibration of, and that's it, you know, by walking around in this vibration without fear or higher vibration, I am serving all that I come in contact with. And I also just want to say that reading this out loud is different than sitting on my couch and reading it quietly in my head. So I'm really grateful for the opportunity.
I agree. I just, going back, as I read that first paragraph, I felt like it was very personal to me. I don't know if anyone else felt that, but it felt so personal. Like we're inviting you to something magnificent. Join in. Where it is like, yes, just something beautiful.
Patricia and then Alka.
You know, I've been thinking about this and to bring something to the upper room of what I'm physically going through is to bring that forward and bring it into the upper room. I don't know what that means, but that's okay. I don't need to know.
Thank you. Alka.
I just wanted to say when I read that the humanity as a whole has made a choice to lift its vibrations, I wanted to get up and do a dance.
I felt exactly the same way. I'm so glad you raised that point. I agree. Yeah. Can you say more about that?
Not at the moment, no, but it really lifted me up. About time, I thought.
That's what I thought too. And that's partly why I was so excited about this book is as we go through the reading, this is the first time that I have really heard him say with so much clarity that this system is changing. And each one of us has been very responsible for exploring our own thoughts, our own reactions to things, our own quote unquote reality. But there's something that really excites me about also the world outside me changing. It's like it lifts a little bit of the not so much the burden from my shoulders, but it opens up the landscape for me in a way that feels really good. Thank you, Alka. Sandra,
Well,
I'll just call on people.
Yes.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah. And so William and then Richard.
yeah. I was thinking earlier, I'd just soon be called on. And I slow down over certain words, certain phrases. Collective field really strikes me. I notice this past day, what is the difference between doing and being? And so in that paragraph, to be re-articulated or made new is an act of being. It is a less a thing done. And that's what was so interesting to me. Less a thing done than an agreement. I don't know what that agreement even means, but it says, made as the field you hold is lifted and altered by agreement and energetic accord. So that gives me a feeling of being done, being guided, being lived, not having to do, just being. So it's a whole mixture of that question. What is the difference of doing and being? So to me, I just want to resonate with it. Sometimes I'd rather not read because I just want to be silent. I just want to marinate in whatever's going on, and I don't want to be distracted by the words. So that's my reading of so far. Thank you.
Thank you. Richard.
Morning, everyone. Yeah, um, what, what Aka said, I remember when 9/11 happened. And before 9/11, I was like, are the human race really ready to move forward as a race? What was going on in the world didn't appear to, we were really more enlightened or willing to become more enlightened as a race. And then 9/11 happened. And I was surprised by the amount of people all over the planet that were tweeting and sending messages of love and peace. And I went, maybe I was wrong. Maybe we are ready as a race to evolve into the next level of awareness. And so I also resonated with that comment and that Uncle brought up. But maybe we are, even though we are going through a rough patch right now in that evolutionary, from my perspective. But we're not being forced to do it. there's always a correction when we're forced to change our consciousness. And force is never, it has to be a willingness by everybody to make this path. And so those people that are free to express themselves, whatever their expression is, and the ability of other people to accept them, it gives them the freedom to be that. Is a way for me to understand what we're going through right now, because we have all these how do I say it without sounding judgmental? We have people claiming victimhood in order to free themselves from the very victimhood they think they're experiencing. And the vast majority of people that don't think they're victims tend to judge them. And we're not using the hammer anymore, I don't think, to cause people, or you have to accept everything these people say, or you're a bad person. I think we're over that. Hopefully, that's another proof for me that we're willing as a humanity, as a species, to open our minds to being more open-minded, more accepting, more allowing people to be whatever the hell they want to be in the dream. And that, I think, is very heightening of our consciousness. So that's all I wanted to share.
Thank you. Rana,
Good morning.
good morning.
Glad to be here. I'm here. I want to just paraphrase something that really hit me. The co-resident reality you have chosen is being altered by your presence. Underline those words, friends. Altered by your presence. And that just points back to, we ended up here in this room together. Here are 15 of us. How did we end up here? We feel like as a gathering, as a group, we're rising in consciousness. Back to the quotes of the masters, the work that we do on the inside is for the collective. We have been called to do this, even though it's not an ego call. It's something from deep within that has brought me, like Cindy was saying, to this very moment, right here, right now. And it's exciting. The ego says, well, you just want to feel special. You want to feel called. And I'm like, you'd twist anything, wouldn't you? I'm just going to feel not special, but loved. Absolutely loved, and thank you, Richard, for reminding me of the energy after 9/11. There was a lot of love and respect for others, and I'm getting a chill right now. There was a different energy after something that was extremely tragic, so that just goes back to, I don't know what anything is for. So thank you.
Thank you.
One of my favorite quotes is Margaret Mead. I've said it before. Never doubt that a small group of committed people can change the world. It's the only thing that ever has. And I have no doubt that as we lift ourselves in vibration together, we are changing the world. We are part of the collective. And William, I mentioned that next sentence, that this is an act of being. not doing. So just being here together in this vibrational field, even if we don't really know much of anything, it changes everything. So, what a blessing to be a part of that.
Richard, your hand is up.
I'm prompted. Another thing I wanted to comment was, Eckhart Tolle said a couple of things over the last few years. He said, we're human beings, not human doings. So, and whenever we talk about the human race, we talk about human beings. So we're being human. We're not human doings. So, recently I read an article or heard somebody, I think it was Eckhart again. He said there was a town where a number of people in this town were meditating. I had a meditation practice, and they got together because there was a high crime was starting to happen in their town. So they said, what if we meditate together? And they started meditating. There was like 12 or 15 people. And all of a sudden, after a few weeks of meditating together, the crime started to fall. And things were restoring themselves to order, peaceful order. So maybe it does work on a smaller scale, like some of you were saying. Our group, we come together with 12 to 20 people in these groups, and we all raise our frequency, and while we're sharing and talking and reading, and who knows what effect that may be having on the total humanity project, or our course community, or whatever community we're in. So okay, let's keep doing it. It can't be bad. I mean, it has to be good. It's good for us individually and as a group. So Laura and I share with everyone, everything. And we're all joined anyway. We're all one. There's only one mind, so all minds are joined. So when we do our thing, we're doing it for everybody. Love you all.
William.
Well, I just keep thinking about, even in relationship with my wife, it's when I'm aligned with the truth between us. Everything seems to dissolve or flow into that space. And again, it seems being is the difference for it. There's no need for volition on my part. I'm already there, and it's just being there that has the power between us, and then being there in the love and the harmony. So it's just so powerful. And then you expand that to 3 or 4 or however many.
That's beautiful, William.
The other thing that keeps coming, I like the silence better than listening to my words.
Shall we read another paragraph?
Yes.
Okay. Pat is the next on. No, Pat says no. Patricia, do you want to read? Okay.
Sure.
There's a power outage in San Francisco for some reason. That means my book is not online. So I'm
Oh, okay.
not averse to reading, but don't have the book.
Okay. All right. I think we're on the paragraph.
To be re-articulated?
Right.
Okay. To be re-articulated or made new. That's lovely. Is an act of being. It is less a thing done than an agreement made as the field you hold is lifted and altered by agreement, an energetic accord. The resonant field you hold today, wherever you may sit, is in coherence with the resonant field of all things that you see and experience. When one is made new, one is reknown or reclaimed at a level of vibration where what you claim into being, the world you see before you, is also changed. How is it changed, you may ask? We have said this many times, but the denial of the divine, the great problem humanity has faced, can only be rectified by a higher level of alignment. What you deny God in, you align to in fear. Let me read that again. What you deny God in, you align to in fear. That resonates. So when I'd like to say something, please. When you deny God in, when you do not allow God in, you go to fear. So what's the opposite of love is fear. There we have it. Thank you.
Thank you. So what you deny God in, you align to in fear. So when I deny God in whatever is arising in my present moment, I am aligning in fear, and it doesn't matter what is arising in front of me. If I cannot find God in it, I am aligning to fear. And that is a course in miracles. God is in everything I see because God is in my mind.
Cindy has her hand up.
She has to unmute. There she goes.
Just listening to this reminded me of an aspect of the clip we watched before we started. And they were pointing to the same thing. They were saying, no matter what happens, what you're being hit with, you have a choice. You can either say, why is this horrible thing happening to me again? Which is aligning with fear. Or you can choose to say, what a great opportunity to learn through. What a great opportunity for growth here, which is aligning to the divine. And so I just kind of wanted to highlight, we just heard the guides, teachings in a slightly different way, but it feels like the same.
Yes, I have a practical example of that. Thanksgiving dinner. All these people around the table, and one comes in and brings in a lower vibration, and you can feel it. I'm sure you all felt that, even though you may not have named it that way. And we're sitting around, and the guide said this morning, Cindy, how you attend to what is before you, you have a choice, how you attend to it. And I just felt the seductive pull to be pulled into it, but chose not to, and just sat there and sent love to everyone around the table and just kept holding that place of love. I didn't think consciously I'm seeing God in everyone, but and everything changed. It was like, I was going to say it was like a miracle. It was a miracle. It's A Course in Miracles. Just by one person holding the field differently. All of a sudden, no one was arguing anymore. Everyone was getting along, laughing. So this is not just like esoteric reading. This is practical ways of living, day by day, with all encounters. How you attend to what is before you. You get to choose. I love that.
You know what? That takes us right into the next paragraph. It's really good. That was a great segue, Sandra. And the person that's on my screen to read next is Alka, if she wants to read.
Can read one paragraph. Okay. Oops. Now, to deny God in something is simply to decide that the idea of God, or the presence of God, or the tone, which is indeed God, cannot exist somewhere. And by your decree or your coherence with that claim, you shut yourself from the divine in the way that we say you do. What you put in darkness calls you to the darkness. What you deny the divine in claims you in that darkness, or at least the shadow of it. The template of reality that you have chosen to learn through, claimed in fear, enjoined by each of you through collective agreement, has chosen to shift with your presence as the activator.
Would you like to say something about that?
It just lifts me up every time I think about it. I think there's still like a few thousand years before we reach this, where everybody is high vibration, but at least we've made a collective choice in the upper realms, as he says. So people who could be burnt as witches or whatever in the past are now, at least people listen to you and want to hear more about what. For years, I kept my spirituality hidden from everyone because I didn't think anybody would want to know it or whatever. I don't know. But now when I openly say to people, I meditate in the mornings and talk about things which are different, they want to listen to me. They may not do anything about it. But at last I can talk about it from time to time.
I love that. That's great. Thank
I-
you.
I'd like to add that what you put in darkness calls you to darkness. There's a common saying, what you pay attention to grows.
Yes.
And I love that with your presence as the activator, just be present, whatever that means. Let your silence speak to you.
That reminds me of something that Richard said that I just found so wise earlier this week when he described being in the car and just railing on God, why aren't you answering me? And then realizing that the silence was the answer. Wow, that was that was a holy instant for me. I loved that. Thank you, William. Cindy and then Richard. God, this is really fun, isn't it?
It is really fun. I feel called to address this idea that it may take 1,000 years for this realization. It was a question. I listen to the guides every day. You'll get that in this meeting. The guides addressed it in something I listened to recently. And they said, some of you think this is going to take a long time. And they're like, claim it now. There is this eternal now. And putting it off for 1,000 years is not useful. So they literally said it happens now. And that dropped for me because so many of our teachers, right, continually point to linear time as an illusion. So as long as we're projecting into a future, we're not sinking into now. So I just I wanted to add that to this conversation.
Richard.
Great shares as always. That paragraph we just read reminded me of the law of attraction. If your vibration is at a high state, that's what you will experience in your life. If it's at a lower state, that's what you will experience in your life. So, for no other reason than wanting to have a happier life, you want to be the highest vibration you can be at, and therefore you will attract only that. And I also was reminded by Bashar, something Bashar said, and he said, we don't have to go as a whole race into the next universe. What happens is, as you increase your vibration, you move into another universe where all the new universe is people are more attuned to where you are, and your experience as a being is at a different level. But that doesn't mean everybody from the old universe came with you. So I found that interesting. Another idea in my head that said, why not keep doing this? Because don't think of it as, are these 8 billion people ready to move forward, and do I have to wait for all of them to change their mind before I can go on? And the answer is no. Being, like Cindy was saying, be in the present moment, and you're in another universe. I mean, you're in another experience which is totally different than maybe the chaos you see in the world you're in right now. So I just wanted to share that.
Thank you.
And the people we are touching, Alka, I want to say this to you. You don't know that they're not listening. You don't know. I mean, I don't know how many times as a mother I said something to my children, and then years later I find out they say the same thing. And at the time I thought they were completely ignoring me. So we're planting seeds all along. And what needs to be heard will be heard by them.
That's what I'm hoping.
William, you want to come to the head of the table?
Well, it just occurs to me that, again, when I think about humanity or other people, just the thought, there is no. So my being present just really means I'm seeing through that illusion. And that creates the oneness. So it's already a done deal. And I don't have to worry about, because it's all not existent. So I'm really noticing that right now, whether I remember that later. It's all I have to do is see the illusion, and it's gone. It's done. I'm one. We all. So forth. I'll quit. Damn it. I see the moment I add another word, it just gets in the way. Sorry.
No, you know what? The only word that you didn't need to add was sorry. Oh,
which reminds me of Richard. Just be in whatever darkness, the light will change it.
Yes.
well, I've got Rana as reading the next paragraph here. If we're ready to read the next paragraph. Okay, thank you. Oh, Rana says no. Do you want to read or no? I think she says no. And Pat doesn't. Does Izzy want to read?
Yeah, I can read.
Oh, good. Okay.
All right. Now, as you begin to know who you are, what you are, and how you serve, the field you hold is indeed altered. It is lifted. The transmission of your field, or the coherence of the field holds, claims into being that which is of like accord, ACCORD, or ACORD as on a piano. The coherence of the true self, which we will explain later, is that which is of God, because the true self, as you cannot deny the divine. When you stop denying the divine, you claim a new level of alignment, energetic coherence, wherein all things indeed are made new.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I'd like to suggest we move right into the next paragraph.
Okay. For me, it's either going to be Livy or Sandra.
Olivia already said that she can't. There's too
Okay.
many.
So
Okay, I'll
take it
just,
away.
I
Wait,
I will go right into the next paragraph, but I just point out that they keep mentioning tone, vibration, and this metaphor of music. And it's interesting to me that we start with music so often in our gatherings, and they keep mentioning that as part of this whole field we're in. So now the idea of being made new is confusing for most of you. You think it means you pretend you weren't who you were yesterday, or that your problems are gone, or you are lifting all things to your idea of heaven. In fact, to be made new or rearticulated is the presence of the divine operating as and through you. I love that. In fact, to be made new or rearticulated is the presence of the divine operating as and through you that calls into being that which is of like accord. The body you have is the body you hold, but the body you hold is in a new coherence. The energetic field you hold is still present, but aligned in a higher template. I think that's something we actually feel. I mean, I feel it viscerally. I don't know if others do, but it's when we talk about, I think you called it a love fest, Richard, once, that we're having a love fest here. But when we have that, for me, I feel it.
definitely. Although he says that it isn't always comfortable.
Mm.
You know, it isn't always comfortable. So maybe Cindy wants to talk about that. She's got her hand raised.
Well, I've actually heard him say it won't be comfortable. So, because what I really wanted to point out here, which was so important to this kind of personality self, and we've talked about it in the Mondays, is that the guides aren't saying you stop being you. And this is so valuable as I sit in this space and allow the uncomfortableness to come. We're lifting what we are. So the fear is going away. So it's like it's a rearticulation of me. It's not needing to surrender who I am. Is that
Yeah.
body is in a new coherence. I don't got to drop the body. I don't have to go sit on a mountain and tell my family that I don't love them anymore. I don't have to give up my music or, making people laugh or whatever else I do to enjoy my life. It's literally just about being me minus the fear. And that feels wonderful to sit and contemplate that. So
What he says in this is, what I found interesting was he says, it's moving as and through you. As and through. So we truly need do nothing to get back to the whole idea of doing. It's moving as and through. What we are is already that. Even if it seems to be fear. So judging yourself for being in fear is not allowing that fear to move as and through you. So I think this gets to something that we talk about all the time, which is just to trust in the moment and know that the divine is in every moment. There is no separate person. Whatever is arising can be seen in only two ways. One is to deny it as the divine, and the other is to see it as the divine and to allow it to be. And if we resist the divine, then we move into the darkness. Right. Izzy says we are being lived. Right. And we have 2 minutes left. I can't believe how quickly this has gone. Sandra, this has just been a blast. So Richard is the next up.
Recently, I've been playing with getting out of the way, I call it. Before I join a meeting, I drop into stillness. And then I realize I'm in my right mind when I'm in stillness. And so before I join a meeting, I surrender my body-mind. Richard surrenders his body-mind to the higher self and says, I'm going to step away. You got it. Whatever I say is from you. I have no desire to express what Richard believes because Richard doesn't know a damn thing. So I'm just going to step aside, give it to you, and if I share, I'm sharing. I'm letting you come through me. My egoic self, my body, I'm turning my body mind over to you for the next whatever. I'd like to do that 24/7, but I find myself slipping back into my egoic self time and time again. But more and more, I'm dropping into the stillness and just letting it be. Whatever happens, happens.
Thank you. Sandra, do you want to close us out?
Oh, I'm not sure. Richard, I love that. And William, when you said sorry about what you were saying, it's like, I think we're all learning to trust that what comes is coming from beyond us and beyond the small self. I hate to call it the small self because I think it's all one, but that's the best way to describe it. And I too have been trusting that. And not even not trying to predict what's going to happen. Just being. So thank you all. Thank you, Amy and Cindy. We'll keep opening doors and seeing what's there and being excited by it. I think Rana said in the very beginning, one of her notes that we didn't read, one of her chats was, the first paragraph is exciting, she said. It is. It's exciting because we get this invitation to see things anew and be anew.
Thank you.
I do have a question for next week. Are you going to open at 10 and play something by the guides before we start the discussion?
Well, that was my intention, simply
Okay.
because, you know, especially as people get used to coming at 10:15 instead of 10, I figured, but I also just enjoy doing that, so.
I liked it.
Yeah, I liked it too. And I was resisting coming at 10, but I feel like I'm missing something if I don't come at 10. So I think so maybe this class will just be an hour and 15 minutes because I'd hate to make it only 45. We could, we could, we'll do whatever. But next week we'll start at the bottom of page or the introduction with now the idea of a template must be understood. So we'll start there. And I don't know about you, Sandra, but I like reading like this where everybody reads from their book and we can see each other's faces while we're reading. And I'm enjoying that right now. So
Let's just go with it. We can evolve as the need be.
okay.
I'm gonna stop the recording.